Yo!
Hi.
What is
Happy
up?
day after Easter.
Yeah, happy day after Easter, everyone. Hope all y'all are doing well. I know we had a pretty good Easter for the most part, for I guess as much as you can. Make sure everything's good here. How you doing?
Good. I kind of got a headache right as I was leaving work, so
Uh-oh.
I thought maybe it'd be because from lack of caffeine, but I'm drinking my caffeine and it hasn't helped yet, so wee.
Well, hopefully the delight of talking about OU football is going to...
Yeah, I'm sure that
Make
won't
it
be a
better.
headache at all.
Some breaking news over the weekend, certainly. We had... I think there was
Breaking
a guy...
news and then an Uno reverse.
Yeah, true. Very true. There was a certain guy, entered the portal, came out of the portal after reconsidering. I know that we kind of want to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Then there is, just some general thoughts on we kind of want to discuss what the portal is kind of making us feel like a little bit, just in terms of just overall vibe of how we feel about the sport and where it is right now,
Or lack thereof.
and. T's also has some thoughts on how it's kind of made her kind of change a little bit on the just overall feeling, I think, of how the NIL's kind of made the reaction to certain to players entering the portal, the reaction of them leaving, this, that, and the other. So again, but to introduce ourselves, I'm Chad Smith,
And I'm Tyranny Smith.
and we are Oklahoma at the Voice of College Football Network show. We are on right now, and then every other Monday. Every Monday
not every other.
at 7.
Yeah, so if you're here, just go ahead and like the video. Share it if you feel so kind. Stacy's usually out there sharing it for us. Love you,
Yeah.
girl. And subscribe to our channel if you can, because we are here every Monday. And then during the season, we will do post-game reactions, which are very fun. We only did, we did 3 last year.
Yeah, they're a
2 out of
blast.
3. 1 out of 3. It was fun. But the other 2 were,
They were eventful.
yes, therapeutic. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, it was
Therapeutic?
very therapeutic to scream.
You were way more angry.
Yeah, well, let's not bring up old bad news, making me already upset a little bit. We got the David Stone coming back and forth. OU also, just kind of some housekeeping. OU offered a defensive lineman today. It was reported. I'm not even going to try to say his name, but I guess I'm going to try, but do not hold me to this. Ciola Lolohe?
Can I try?
Yeah.
We'll see who's closest one day.
Yeah.
Ciola Lolohia.
Aloha. Yeah, that's probably money. Former Oklahoma State and Utah State defensive lineman, spent last year at Utah State playing for new Sooners inside linebackers coach Nate Dreeling. Dreeling was the interim head coach and defensive coordinator for the Aggies last year. So he is now on the roster. He's 6'3", 305 pounds. Can never have too many of those guys around. That's for
Such
sure.
big humans.
Yes, massive people. Can never have too many big dudes, especially in the SEC on the defensive front. So exciting. Hopefully we can get him. It never hurts to add depth. We need as much as we can get. And speaking of adding depth, we all saw, what was it, Friday?
Yeah.
David Stone. I'm sure people have heard of him before. Announced he was going to enter the portal.
Yeah.
Announced that he had, and we'll get into what we heard were the reasons why.
All 87.
Yeah, heard with the reasons why. For the first thing I heard was just basically it was a deal where the family was pretty involved with where his money went. Again, this is all secondhand reporting, so it's all hearsay. But there was reports that he was, a lot of the NIL money he was basically supporting his family, and that was being kind of spent rather quickly. And I don't know whether or not it is due to what they got or the reasons why what they bought or the reasons they spent it. But I know that there was rules or some rumors around that the money was being spent quickly and that they were looking to get more after going into this year. I guess with a whole year of development, a whole another year of weights. He's bigger now, obviously, more mature and just body type. But they were looking at maybe cashing in on that, capitalizing on it, and being able to get more money.
Okay.
And
other rumors? We want to address all of them.
There were other rumors. Yeah, there was something about I guess some guy named David Stone got. I don't even know if it was him, but there was some like was it a arrest or something?
It was a screenshot.
Screenshot of something. That stuff is always. unless it says David Stone of like Norman, Oklahoma, and it's clearly him. Like there's so many different David Stones, I'm sure, even in Oklahoma, if you
there's
wanted
a
to
million
look.
Chad Smiths.
Right. One, and also,
Used to work with one.
and we're, and
right.
also.
I shot that one in my head. I pretty much was like, no.
Yeah. Chad Smith, also drummer
Right.
for the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yes.
Which you could confuse me for as well.
There's only one Tierney Smith, though.
Yeah.
So.
I'm very good with the drums.
Another rumor was that apparently he took a pay cut, but that was before Nagy even came.
Yeah.
So,
back in December, apparently.
So we can discuss what that comes around. And then, of course, just even without, supporting family, that just wanting more money, too. That was another kind of rumor. And then, of course, there's always the playing time stuff. So we'll address all of that in a little bit. A lot going on. Well, most of them. We're not going to address the one of the name on the reporting because I don't.
Yeah. Also,
I'm pretty sure if it was, and I'm in the way that you can, if anybody gets in trouble on the team like that, it gets put in the news. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't be a secret in my opinion. But but yeah.
And so starting off. So we heard it was a money thing. So originally he got his NIL deal last year. It was a lot of money. I know that 5 stars can go, especially defensive line, can go for $900,000 plus. So he was making a ton. There's one we offered, I know this year, that went for almost just about a little over 900. I shouldn't say I know. I have on good authority that he went for around that. But there is other considerations for a guy like David Stone. It is always difficult for me to just, I don't want to say bash, or to be highly critical of young players, even though they're getting paid, and we'll make points to that. But, people forget a lot that, Jaden Jackson was his best friend at IMG Academy. But Jaden Jackson wasn't the all-star, the all-time talent at defensive line. Obviously, we're seeing that now, but he wasn't the big-time recruit. Like, David Stone was a top 5 player in the country. Jane Jackson was a top probably 50 player, 50 depending on where you look, really
different.
good, but different. David Stone was supposed to be the guy that came in and was, an all-star, all-American freshman the first year, and you look at what he actually put up, and it was some pretty 94 snaps, 6 tackles, 2 for a loss, and 1 sack. Now again, he's a true freshman, and typically true freshmen aren't going to have a lot of numbers. They're there to develop and just really develop their bodies.
They're there to quote unquote wait their turn.
Exactly, and just get snaps, get used to being in the game, get a general feel for what it's like at the Division I level, and really your next year and then the year after that are the years you're supposed to really be a force. You look at a guy like then Jane Jackson comes in, and it's not only a player at your position, it's also your best friend on the team. Mm-hmm. So not only are you having a guy take snaps from you, but it's also the one guy that is like your brother. Mm. And I don't care who you are. There has to be some friction there a little bit. As happy as you would be for your friend, it's still got to be in the back of your mind of, man, I that should be me almost. Mm. A little bit of, man, I would like to be the guy that, that should be out there making those plays. Mm. Now, hopefully that motivates you and it makes you want to become a better player and all that. But, and I think we saw a little bit of David Stone's interview, and I'm trying to pull that up and find it here in a second, but where he talked about, I had some maturing to do. I had some personal development I needed to do. He also mentions grades and everything, and that he feels like he was able to do that. And kudos to him. I'm more impressed when people admit they have things they have to fix or get better at, and they go out and do those, because that takes actual courage, like actual strength to admit faults, admit we need to be better, and then go out and do it. Right.
It's one exactly. It's one thing to admit fault, quote unquote, or even it's another to actually do something about it. Mm-hmm. So that is one thing. I mean, even in any type of relationships, it's easy for someone to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was wrong," but then if you keep doing it, you're not really sorry. You're not learning. You're not growing. You're a child. Exactly. That to me is the real growth into adulthood is when it's I'm sorry, I was wrong. Or even not even I'm sorry, just I was wrong. I fell short of whatever it was. I'm going to do better, and then actively seek out doing better. Mm-hmm. That's a real, to me, turn of an adult, and for him, for a man, essentially. So definitely can agree with that, and I agree that it would be hard. I've definitely had friends before get more playing time than me, and I'm happy for them too. Obviously I want to play because I'm competitive, and I'm happy for them, but yeah, it does start to wear on you a little bit, and also especially if you think about it, he was the higher recruit. He was the name,
right?
And so the guy who's not the name is the one who's making the impact, who's getting most of, not all of the snaps, who's getting, all SEC freshman team, who's getting freshman All-Americans, whatever it is.
Right.
He's getting all these accolades that, you thought the roles would have been reversed. And I'm not calling him like a jealous man or anything like that. Because as you mentioned, you're going to be happy for your brother. That's great. But at the same time, you're like, dang, I want that too. And he's going to get that. I mean, he's going to get his. He's not going to stay that way.
Yeah.
Unless it is a grades thing.
Yeah.
Don't make the grade, you're not going to be on the field. Or unless it is a understanding the playbook thing. Because then obviously you're not going to get on the field either if you're not understanding those types of things. But.
Right. Well, and I think it's just and I want to play this sound right here that we have from David, where we shouldn't have it. It came from Jesse Crittenden, which I can never say. I believe he's over at OU Insiders. OU Insider. So credit those guys. Wanted to play some sound here from David Stone talking about kind of some changes he's had to make, some developments he's made just as a player and as a person. And I think stuff that really shows his maturity. And we'll get into Todd Bates and kind of, I think, his impact on a guy like David Stone as well. But I'm just really impressed when I hear people admit this stuff and then share how they're getting better at it. So here's David Stone.
For myself, I had a big issue with, just being able to let my football, my life outside of football affect my football. So, I dominated a lot of the team setting and stuff like that. But sometimes, outside of that, I could let some of my body language get bad because of the stuff I had going on outside of football, whether it be my grades or something, things like that. And as a player, I had to learn how to compartmentalize, those things, separate the two, and be able to handle the pressures of outside life with football. And I feel like this year I made the jump as a player, being able to dominate that space, whether it's, in life or football. So, like my grades, I finished with SEC honor roll thing or whatever that was. I got that, so I was proud of that. That's a big accomplishment for me, off the field. And then on the field, I've been killing it this spring. Winter workouts was a fun time for me. I'm up like 15, 20 pounds, moving better than ever. So those things, making those small improvements and, all over has been a big part of my game so far.
And I feel like, well, first off, I love that he made SEC honor roll.
Yes,
that is
claps. Sick. Good for you.
And give him, if it wasn't exactly, if he made any SEC honor roll the week, whatever it is, to focus on your grades and get them up to where you are, making any sort of acknowledgement that's conference wide is awesome. And people, awesome. I hate when people see that and they're like, yeah, but they're getting all this help.
I don't care.
I'm sorry. There was a change. It was for the better of the person. You should celebrate that and not sit there and say, and we'll get into this whenever I defend the NCAA. I hate when people look at what's happening now and say, well, it should have never got there. It's like, that's a great that you're saying that. That has nothing to do with how we're going to help the situation currently.
Right. But shut it down. I can already see you starting to step on that.
There we go.
Soapbox.
This is why you marry somebody who knows you, because she sees that. She sees I
get on. Yeah. I like it because he was obviously very proud of how he did in the classroom. Right. And it is student athlete. Can we just keep that in mind?
Yep.
It's often so lost, especially now in the NIL era. It is student athlete. That's what they're there for, is to be students and to get degrees, because football can switch. It can be done tomorrow. And I hope for any of these guys, I hope it's never the case, but you just never know what could happen. And you do need that to fall back on. But man, I laugh too, because he's like, I'm up like 10, 15, 20 pounds. I'm like, man, I wish I could get that excited to be up that kind of weight.
It's so true.
Different lives.
I like to, he mentioned some key words like compartmentalized. And how many BV is, when we watch the OU DNA episodes, and he's showing little clips of the team meetings, he talks about being able to, understand where the criticism should be, where you should focus that and not let it affect other areas of your life. And for him to, that kind of maturity to say, I realized I wasn't doing that. I was letting certain things bleed over. And you can kind of just, assume that's what he's referring to based on what all he's saying. But for him to say, I've recognized that and now I'm getting better at not, letting those things happen to me, whether it be on the football field or off,
right,
or vice versa, letting one affect the other, just shows maturity. And it shows a wanting to become a better player, and better just leader on the team in person.
Right. Especially
in general.
Like I think you mentioned it, football is an outlet. Football is your happy place. Football's your therapy in a way, that if you're letting negatives or pressures or voices or whatever it is bleed over into that, like that just affects your psyche on a whole new level.
It does. Right.
And I love the word
Carpedium?
No. I'm not even going to try to say it now because now I can just feel it messing up.
Carpe diem?
No.
Carpal tunnel?
The word you just said you like that he used.
Compartmentalize. I said carpe diem.
I can't say it right now. Okay, speech path. Anyways. But
yeah.
I do like that word because as a female, have you ever heard like men are waffles, women are spaghetti?
Yeah.
So like men can do that. You got your boxes. And if you're over here in this box, we can't talk about this box.
Right.
If we're over here on this box, can't talk about this box. So you
Right.
are very good at that. Meanwhile, women are spaghetti, and it's all interconnected,
Ain't that
and
the
it's
truth?
all over the place. So like I get home, and like my work stress starts affecting my home stress, which just starts affecting, you know, like my just making my lunch for the day, and ooh,
Yeah.
it just all bleeds over. But I do like Stacy. I can't even type it. I have to break it up. Great word. I'm thinking it in my head and I'm feeling myself not be able to say it. So I'm not even going to try anymore. But I do like that from him. He's also, every time I hear, like, so soft spoken. And it's always crazy to me, especially when the defensive guys just seem really soft spoken and
Right.
kind of quiet. Because boy, on the field, that ain't the case.
No.
And so it's always so funny to me when they're just, you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
a little more reserved
Absolutely.
seeming. So
we hear he enters the portal, and then obviously there was. Actually, let's get to a couple of these comments. I thought we had one come in. Lane said, "If they would have let Stone get away, I would have wanted Nagy gone." Well, I mean that'd be a tough one. That's certainly a take
it's a
though.
strong take.
Strong take. And we appreciate strong takes here. That's fine. Do you think Ott is the new running back one? I think he's definitely. This is such a generic answer. He's in the conversation for it.
I really like Xavier Robinson.
That's where I'm having trouble. Is you got a guy like Xavier is going to be tough just to say you didn't earn it last year with what you showed,
Right.
dealing with what he dealt with up front with all the injuries and replacements.
I really look forward to watching X play again.
The guy I'm interested in is,
I genuinely enjoyed watching him when he got the ball.
Yeah.
I thought something was going to happen. Even 3 yards. You get 3.5 yards every time you get a first down. It's fine.
I think Jay Knott is on a short leash to be the starter, though. I really do. I think that he's going to be, if he shows a couple bursts early in the season, just because of his experience and the second gear he has. Right now, we're missing that. Tatum has it, but Tatum needed a year to really lift and get bigger and just stronger, I feel like, to run between the tackles.
Yeah, because he had the fumble issue.
Yeah.
No offense. I'd fumble every time.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
But, like,
No big deal.
sorry.
Marcus Bowden said, I think we will be good this year. Yeah, they're going to be solid on defense,
Also,
I think.
too,
Yeah.
we have Gavin Sawchuk, who I feel like we've all been waiting. He had that good bowl game. What was that, 3 years ago now?
Mm-hmm.
And we felt like we've all been waiting for him to just break out.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't quite gotten that yet. So never count him out. I will be interested to see how the running back rotations go. I feel like I say that
Javonte Barnes, another
every
one.
year.
You know?
I forgot Javonte was coming back. Yeah, we'll see. It's literally going to be who does. I'm sure they're all going to be rotated, and who does, if you get 3 snaps a game, what do you do with it?
Yeah. I agree here with Lane. He says X-Rob will be number one until someone does better. Yep.
I do agree.
I think you're right. And I think he's shown that he deserves that opportunity next year.
Again, would have been nice to have a spring game, just check it out, but alas.
Here we go. Do you think any running back, just a couple more here, will get into the portal? I don't know. I heard rumors about Tatum. I don't know if there's there's real legs to that.
All, right?
I think he's playing. Yeah, I think he is playing some.
Baseball?
He's going to be playing.
Oh.
But I'm not sure.
See, to me,
if there's
that
gonna be
holds
both.
him back football-wise.
Yeah.
At this level, and I hate saying that but when he needed to get bigger and stronger, that was his fault. You're playing baseball,
Yeah.
kind of not getting bigger and stronger because it's a different, muscle set you're using.
Right.
But
So I don't know. I'm always iffy on the players getting in and out. I mean, he has such a good setup at Oklahoma right now, being able to play both sports. And if he would commit to one, he has all the talent in the world to be unbelievably good. But it is what it is, and hopefully whatever he figures out helps it's to the benefit of Oklahoma. What about Robinson? We said earlier we think he's number one. All right, well,
we think it's his position to lose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
based on
it's
what we
definitely
saw
his
last
position
year.
to lose. Yep. So, anyways, we heard David Stone get in the portal. We heard the different reasons why, and then all of a sudden on Easter Sunday, a great day to make an announcement. He announces that he's back, and friend of the show, Sooner Focus, made one of the all-time edits I've ever seen. This thing was awesome, and I just want to show it because he's extremely talented and helps us out.
He does all of our thumbnails.
Yep. Yep. He's awesome. He made an edit talking about David Stone coming back, and
ta-da!
I mean, it's. Oh wait, whoa! Click over here. Maybe we can zoom in some. There we go. He is. First off, the reason why it's big, you're getting him back for obvious reasons. Added depth. Mm-hmm. Also, just a great kid. That is someone you want in your locker room. Someone who's going to have influence the right way on the team.
And let's be honest, as Okies, we're biased to a good homegrown Okie story. Like, we want Oklahoma boys to make an impact on the Oklahoma team.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we're like, we cheer for that more than anything. And not necessarily, absolutely. I guess that's not exclusive to just Oklahoma born,
mm-hmm.
but like people who have been fans of the university their whole lifetime thing
right.
too, like a Baker.
Yeah.
So I obviously that's a factor going into it.
Also, Marms don't look completely like this, but they're not far off.
Some type of comparison to some major athlete.
Well, thank you. You're comparing. It is.
You're comparing.
It's nice of you to say. Well, I didn't know he's a major athlete. Okay. I'm just saying my arm didn't. It looks like he has muscle on his muscles.
Next time.
Which is cool.
Never mind.
That's what I do. Next time. No. What? No, don't say it.
Yeah.
Don't say it. But there is but David Stone's back, and obviously adds depth. Obviously adds some experience from last year, but the cohesiveness I think he has, and I think he's truly a leader. And you see him in front of cameras, how, and you see a lot of players, no matter who it is, some are not comfortable in front of the camera, some are. So he has that charisma about him where he looks like a leader. Mm-hmm. Like he looks like someone guys would want to follow. And
I did hear that like when he announced the portal, like obviously Jaden Jackson put the little broken heart, which makes sense. That's your best friend, Mm-hmm. But I heard like it was like I don't want to say shock or sucking the air out of the room. Some other players heard that he was leaving. So I mean, that's always a big
mm-hmm.
compliment, essentially,
right.
as a player, if your team is that like broken up over you potentially leaving.
Sure. Yeah.
So that does show, a leadership or just a good teammate. You don't necessarily have to be a leader to be a good teammate.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Right.
So losing a big teammate, that's just such a good compliment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
no, you're fine. No, you're fine. Trust me.
I haven't been on the show basically in I would say 2 weeks. So
man, you're good. Get out.
Getting back out here.
You're not bothering me at all. But no, yeah, and him being able to, I really truly feel, and Eddie Radesevich mentioned on their show, their podcast with he and Storia, that he had seen Todd Bates talking with David Stone after practice, and it was on the other side of the field, and it was pretty emotive. It was pretty clear they were talking about something serious. Mm-hmm. And I just think I think Todd Bates really has a father figure. Like even to all the players. I think he comes across, and you've met him, I haven't, but I think he truly comes across like he really does care about the players,
The women's clinic. It's so cool.
But you know what I mean? Like I think he really does truly care about them, and I think the players like that and realize that, and they don't want to leave. And from what there's no way he talks about all how happy he is with all the good and improvements he's made last year, compared to last year to this year, and where he sees his life going, and then make the drastic decision to change to get in the portal,
right.
Unless there's contributing factors outside just
right.
Football.
And I agree. Now I have met Todd Bates.
Mm-hmm.
I flipped my hair like as if I was like super cool, but it's just from the ladies' clinic that I paid to go to. But he was always been one of my favorite coaches, and I mean I came back and talked to you about it. I believe I put it on my threads when I talked about the ladies' clinic that how much I liked Todd Bates. Great energy. You're right. Just like you feel how much he cares, and he genuinely like enjoyed meeting people. Very personable, very like happy dude. Mm-hmm. I really always really liked Coach Bates. So
you okay?
Yeah, nope.
I thought you were crying.
Give me a good story. I probably will. I'm always on edge of crying because I have problems.
She don't have problems. That sounded weird.
I'm just
She cries, but
I'm just
a lot of people cry.
empathetic.
Yeah, you are. That's a good thing.
I'll see penguins holding hands and I'll
She'll
tear up.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, I really do like Todd Bates. I do like him a lot, and it is good knowing that the boys have somebody like that they can turn to.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think I do think he I do think that, you know, I do think he's a good role model for them to have. And he made a whole post about it, about him coming back on Sunday, basically about, you know, you never know what these kids are going through, and it's so good to have him back and all that kind of stuff. And I haven't seen that much about any other guy. So that was, to me, spoke volumes about how he felt about him.
Right.
So.
Well, and you know, like, I think that what's impressive to me about a guy like David Stone deciding to come back is, I know that they didn't offer him all he was wanting in terms of money on that first kind of negotiation they had back and forth. I know that there was not a complete agreement on what they were going to get paid. I do believe some of his NIL is incentive based, and to me that that motivates me if I'm a player. And I think David Stone is a guy that has the talent for sure. That, you know, there are going to be moves that he can make that are going to make him better. So, you know, I just think that him coming back is huge for the program. It's a good look. You don't lose a 5-star in recruiting that you recruited, thank goodness. And, you know, that would be good if we could keep those guys in.
I was
keep
just
moving.
happy it seemed like they worked something out. I hope that whatever he was talking about in his interview that was bleeding over into his football, that he either gets under control, seeks additional, I don't want to say seeks additional help, but if it is a situation where maybe you need to talk to somebody else, great. If it's just like something your coaches can help you with, that's great. Or whatever it might be, I hope that he truly has that under control now, or feels like it's not going to affect him anymore, or for whatever reason, just hope that it just stays at bay for him.
Yep. All right, now let's move on to what we really want to talk about, or I do, the portal in general. T has some opinions. You can go first on kind of, I know that you tweeted some stuff about okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Tell us how you think about the portal when you see a player enter or whatever.
Really anymore, I genuinely don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny is because when I say, like, I don't care, like, bye, good luck, so long, okay, people are like, oh, wait, you're mad? I'm like, no, like, I'm really not. Like, maybe because I don't care, that comes off that way. Mm-hmm. Or obviously when you're reading text, it might come up, but I don't care anymore because there's nothing I, as a fan, can do about it. Mm-hmm. And that's just kind of how it is. It's a revolving door now. And so I kind of find myself just not getting, like, super, I say, attached to players. Not that I never knew them personally, but it's not, I'm not trying to really get to know anything about them anymore, or, you know, follow them on them. Right. I'm not trying to buy any extra merch, like, because one, I don't want to buy something and then a year later it no longer works anymore. I already learned my lesson with Mackenzie Donahue. Bought a shirt, a year later she's gone. So I was like, I'm just not.
See you.
I don't know. I don't care. And also because I don't know the reasons why guys are leaving.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to get more, I can't blame people for wanting to go get more playing time.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, like, I get it.
Yeah.
If it's, you know, personal reasons, what if a family member is sick and you got to go back closer to home, you know, whatever it is, it might be, like, I don't know. So I don't care as much. And even anymore, like, even if it's an obvious tampering situation, there's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing anybody can do about it. So why am I going to try to put extra effort into it? Like, it's just more so like, okay, bye, I guess.
Right. Well,
Like, good luck on your next adventure. I hope if you play OU, like, you don't do well against us. But other than that, go do your thing.
Fun fact, Ruth Bader Ginsburg went to Harvard Law, then had to transfer her last year or third year to Columbia because I believe it was her husband or one of her family members got cancer, so that they had to get treated.
Right, exactly.
So there are obviously situations
horrible,
where,
but I hope that
fun fact for the day.
doesn't happen to anybody, but it does. It does happen.
I just, for me, well, my bad, were you done? Keep going.
Yeah,
I heard you
good.
about to say something else.
No, it's
You
more
good?
so like, I just genuinely don't care or want to put effort into it anymore. It's kind of how I feel about recruiting too, like, because even when they sign on the dotted line, again, a year from now they could be gone. So it's like, I'll just cheer for whoever suits up and plays in the fall. And I hope I see you next year. And if I don't, then I guess I'll just root for the next guy that fills your spot.
I do wonder how that is going to affect the recruiting sites. You know, I mean, what benefit is it to know who we're signing or who's in what if they can just leave after a year?
And I've seen many tweets that have said like, there's really no point in even following recruiting anymore. I'm like, you're right.
There are, by the way, just turning back to the David Stone thing real quick, because I saw people, and I think we'd even talked about this too. I understand where people say, you know, hey, you're an adult. If your family is spending your money, you got to tell them to stop. And to some point, I 100% agree with that to an extent. But it's also like, I could tell a distant uncle, hey, I'm not giving you anything. But like, first off, he's a kid. He's not, you know, I know they're making money, but like, dude, all of us, imagine you're telling the people you're going to go to home in the summer with, you go to see it at Christmas, you go to see it Thanksgiving, to just screw off. I mean, you're not going to be, I mean, it's easy to say when it's not your money. So I'm just saying that to like show people grace every now and then, you know, like to the fans. I get that people want to, you know, be a man, be an adult. He's just, first off, this is new to him. It's new to everybody really, but there is a reality where your parents are your parents. It's hard to just tell your parents no. And
to me, I'm not even ashamed of him. Like intrinsic, like in a way, like I'm proud of him that he feels that feels like he has to bear that responsibility. To me, it's more shame on the adults because that's not your child's responsibility. And especially because, again, I've already mentioned football could be gone tomorrow. Heaven forbid something happened to any of these players. And football's gone, your NIL's gone. Right. Now you have no money in your savings that could have set you up better. Your scholarship could potentially be gone. Now you have to figure out how to pay for this education. Like, just things like that people just don't think about. And it's more shame on the adults, in my opinion, or shame on anybody that thinks they're owed something because you made a lot of money.
Absolutely, yeah.
For what, like, and, anyways.
Yeah,
no,
I
off
agree.
that topic. But what are your thoughts on...
I at some point I'm indifferent. People get mad about the money part of it. I think the reality is, like I said, just get used to it. If players want to enter the portal, see if they can make more money somewhere and want to come back. At some point, it's hard for me to not get in my NCAA stuff. I'm going to wait, but at some point, until Congress acts and there's actual regulation and legislation regarding the NIL, there's nothing you can do about it. And everyone can sit here and cry and complain about, oh, players get in, they don't have loyalty. No, they don't. They want a lot of money. So either Oklahoma fans, we can all be like, oh, we can clutch pearls and be all higher than thou and say, we're not going to be, we're not doing this game. Okay, well then we're going to go, 5-8 every year, get waxed, and then everyone's going to want everyone fired again. And why can't OU win? It's because like we have to be able to play the game. And right now the game is what it is. Why I like Nagy is because we knew the two guys before they even got the portal were coming to OU. We just did. And so say you like it, say you don't, I don't really care. I know that we have two good players coming to OU now that we didn't have before the portal opened. And there's no reason why we should be sitting here trying to say it should be this way. It should be a lot of different ways. We shouldn't be, and again, the NCAA has tried to not allow tampering before the portal opens, before they enter the portal. We'll get into that story. The NCAA has tried to regulate. They can't. And so until Congress acts or until the Supreme Court says, you know what, we're going to allow some sort of monopoly, there's nothing we can do. We have to just you play the game by the rules, and right now there's not many of them.
No, and that's 100% right, because there is nothing that we as fans can do. I mean, yes, we can
give money.
We can give money.
And show up to games.
But at some point, I hate saying it, but why do I want to give my money working 40, 50 hours a week where I make a lot less working, with people to someone who's playing a sport with no expenses, making way more than me? Why do I want to give my dollar to that? That's kind of where I'm at too. Now, we pay for our season tickets. We make, different, we do make the different donations, but I haven't told Chad, like, I'm starting to almost get into the point where I don't even want my season tickets. And I don't want to keep paying into this because we want the players that love the school as much as we do type thing, and that's just, it's just so different now. I'm never going to give up my season tickets, and that's never going to happen. But it's like, there are times when I think about like, this is just not.
So let's go through.
This is just not what it is.
Let's go through some
of y'all's comments.
Some of these comments. Lane says there needs to be more incentive-based NIL deals. Go earn it. I agree. 100%.
But if Alabama's not doing that and Oklahoma is, congrats, you just lost
Yep.
a recruit because they can get their money without having to earn it.
Yep. The portal is brutal. There needs to be contracts in place to keep players from getting tampered with. You want a player, then he has a buyout option. Sure. I mean,
Again, it's going to have to be
a lot of this requires
government.
a lot of this requires also either you unionize or you make a players association. There's other aspects of that, but I'm all for players being able to have some sort of, and honestly, and I'll say it, coaches have a bad rap right now. The portal's completely unfair to coaches. Coaches don't have as much freedom as players have. I get so sick of people thinking it's a big brain take to say, well, coaches get to move around if they want. Yeah, they also get fired if they don't perform. And I can think about 6 receivers last year that should have got fired because they didn't even play. So don't give me. I'm so sick of kids getting babied and coaches getting no. And this is why T had to stop me earlier because I get fired up. It's gross to me how there's all this. Well, coaches can do whatever. No, they can't. First off, no, they can't. They literally can't. They're signed to contracts. So I don't say that anymore because that's not a good take. And second of all, they have to perform. If BV doesn't have a good year this year, he's likely not going to be our coach after that, and we'll pay the buyout. It is what it is.
Right. And should a player who just got a raise only do 60 snaps next year? Guess what? They don't get fired for it.
Yeah.
Or heaven forbid they get a pay cut.
Yeah.
Then they're just going to hit the portal. Oh, we agree. Going from not having money to having money and being a young person would be a challenge. Absolutely.
Well, here's the thing.
And to me, that's part of the reason why you're seeing like a lot of these like kids in their fast cars getting in wrecks, killing them other people.
But here's the
in
thing.
Wrecks, getting, there's a lot of other factors that go into it too. They're able to afford things.
It's not even going from not having money. It's going from being middle class to going from where you can help your family, your extended family, and all your friends get whatever they want for a little bit of time. And you're telling me your friend comes to you and says, dude, I know my car is broken down. I just need $6,000 to get this fixed and I can just get a good car. Mm-hmm. And you're going to tell me you just got a $900,000 check and you're going to say, screw. No, you're not. It's so easy. I think why social media just makes me, I just don't care about it that much, but also bothers me is because people act so tough. People are always, I would tell my family no. If I had a chance, if they asked me for money, no, you wouldn't. No, you don't tell the Girl Scout cookie girls no when you walk into Dollar General. You ain't telling your family. You don't tell.
I can't tell them no.
And you're gonna. It's so unrealistic sometimes what we expect players to do with their own family, who they can finally help. Not saying they shouldn't, and like you're saying, it's more on the adults really. Don't put your kid in a position if you are. Don't do that. But
have some shame.
It's just. I hope that we start realizing NIL has more extended consequences than just, hey, we're giving players money. Cool. There's all other factors that go into that. But Lane said the fact they knew they're... All right, well, I shouldn't have said... I don't know that for sure. I'm just saying the timing was really quick. And by the way, I don't care.
But you have to remember, Jim Nagy has been following recruiting. He's been following patterns. He's been following kids for the Senior Bowl for years.
Also, tamper!
Chad's very pro do what everybody else is doing.
You don't fight by Marcus Queensberry rules when the other side doesn't. You don't sit there and play by rules that your other side isn't going to abide by. You don't sit there and say, we'll start the race when the gun goes off, and they just start, and you get a run 3 seconds later when the gun goes off and be like, well, we played the right way, and they're on the podium getting the gold medal.
I know.
In what world does that make sense? Not saying Lane, this isn't at you. I'm just saying, in general, you think Georgia, you think Alabama, you think the top teams aren't tampering? I know for a fact we had almost lost 3 guys that we had to pay a lot of money to keep, and they were offered while the season was still going.
By Ohio State, correct?
By Ohio State. A lot of over millions. And so, say it was for the hypothetical, as we say, assuming arguendo. Say it was. Okay, at least Oklahoma's finally playing on the same footing. At some point, we have to there's a reality check of we can sit here and try to cross all the T's, dot all the I's, and do everything by the book. And to an extent, yes, you should. I'm not saying you want to just, be the worst thing ever. Mm-hmm. But there's also play to win a little bit. And sometimes you can't just be all good. You have to have a little bit of an ability to do things that are a little bit in the gray. Mm-hmm.
But because a lot of these teams that are winning are in the gray. But yes, Stacy is correct. That is Chad's Slytherin side coming out.
Yeah, there we go. Boom.
Vinny is not wrong on this. For instance, we self-reported DeMarco sending a text to somebody.
Yeah.
Stuff like that is what he's referring to. If you're literally just if you're not even towing into the gray, that kind of sounded gross. But if you're not even trying to get into the gray, while the Ohio, the Alabamas, the Georgias, the Tennessees, the Texases, all of them of the world are getting into the gray, you've already lost. You're already behind. So yeah, we can say, oh, we are the moral high ground.
Mm-hmm.
We are clean.
Mm-hmm.
We are perfect.
Mm-hmm.
We do nothing wrong. But we went 6-6.
Yeah, and eventually, and yeah, I just, oh god.
And I mean, you're having me say this, and I'm very much not a Slytherin, so.
Listen. I just think I can't stand. And look, you don't need everyone like me, because my gosh, then we would.
It would look like Washington D.C.
No, whoa, not that bad. I would have some limit, but there are. I just think that until there's actual rules against doing some things, let them tell or let them say, hey, you're not allowed to do that, because we're about to get into it. The NCAA has tried to put rules on it, and it got struck down. So, anything else in the portal? We're at 41 minutes. We still have Zeno Zone tonight, by the way.
Yay!
Meant to mention that.
Zeno's back.
Yeah. Anything else to add? I agree with your points,
you
though.
are so ready to get it on your soapbox for the NCAA. So
well, I was just saying, I agree with you with it is kind of like a okay feeling whenever they get in.
Yeah, I really am just there, and maybe that's a me issue. But my thing is, I have so many other things going on in life that are stressing me out, that are making me upset, that are making me, feel so many different emotions.
Right.
That where a kid chooses to go to college anymore, I do not care, dude.
It is, yeah.
I just don't even care anymore. Why would I go there? But I know there's other people that are like me, and I know some people are like, I don't know how you're like that. I'm like, don't worry, you'll get there. At some point, you'll realize there's nothing you can do. Bye, Lance.
Bye, Lance. Thanks for joining.
I realize there's nothing. You'll get to where you realize even if you donate to NIL.
Yeah.
There's really nothing you can do. If they still choose to leave, they're going to choose to leave.
Yeah.
But anyways, Chad is.
And they are making changes. They're making.
I can feel it.
They're making good. They really are making good changes. I think.
Talking about the NCAA.
Well, to the show. So I'm trying to find my banner here.
Like
to the show, but I mean, or to the team. They're trying to go the professional route. They've hired a director of high school recruiting. Let's see. How do I want to title this? In defense of. Boom. Let's do this. There are people here and all around Twitter. No, I shouldn't say here, because that kind of insinuates I'm talking about the comments. I'm not. There's people all over Twitter that have this bright idea that something needs to be done, which I don't know how they come up with that. They must have. I mean, that just is
really kept him up at night.
I mean, yeah, you sought out scrolls. You I don't know how you came up with the idea that something should be done.
The Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah, you went deep with that. So here's what bothers me about the hate the NCAA gets, which I don't even know. I couldn't care less about the NCAA. I care about things being proportionate and proportionality being proper. I hate whenever it's just there's a boogeyman and there's just they messed up and they should have fixed it a long time ago, or this ephemeral the whatever generic term you want to put on whatever it is just the issue with everything. The NCAA needs to do something, and then you say what should they do, and they say they should fix it, and you go, well, that's circular and self-referential. That means nothing. I mean, that means nothing.
And then it's like, well, what do you mean this official? Well, they should have never let it get to this point. It's like that's not a solution.
As I said to T over the weekend, that's like me smoking my whole life, getting lung cancer, and I go, Doc, what should we do now? And he goes, well, you shouldn't have smoked your whole life. And I go, what? How is that helping me? I'm sure you're right, but what does that do at all for my current situation, of which I'm about to die? Nothing. And so people have gone after the NCAA, which has made a lot of bad decisions. I'm not trying to say they're perfect at all, but I also want to say that in this current climate, it's not really their fault what's going on right now. It's just not. They have been basically handcuffed, shackled in many different ways, starting with, and I'll get to one, and then also there's a couple other, I don't know if y'all have kept up with the Jaden Rashada lawsuit either, but that's kind of starting out now as well. So the first case I kind of want to talk about is a lot of people have talked about how the NCAA needs to not allow tampering. They need to be in the portal. They need to punish tampering, and basically make it a way of basically make it so that you can't tamper with anybody, or that they have to be in the portal before you reach out to them. Well, the NCAA tried to make that a rule, and it was in this Tennessee case, in which when they did so, it was so the NCAA, the NIL collectives, basically, they were trying to make a rule that you could not reach out, and if you did, you were going to face penalties. Well, they put a injunction on that rule because it was restricting people's ability to make money on their NIL. Because somehow not allowing people to tamper with a kid affects their NIL. And so people will get mad at the NCAA when tampering happens, not knowing that they've already literally tried to do this. They've tried to make a rule. The problem is every rule the NCAA makes is struck down for violating a player's right to their NIL money. They had to agree to let a guy who went to JUCO. I can't think of a dumber thing than to think, hey, I'm not good enough for D1 right now. I'm going to go to JUCO to where I can get good enough for D1, and then to complain about the fact that you didn't make money when you were at JUCO because you weren't good enough to go to Division I in the first place.
Or didn't make the grades.
Whatever it is. That is a dumb thing to argue. Mm-hmm. The problem is, dumb things are being reported by courts right now. Mm-hmm. Really dumb things. And so the NCAA sits there and says, well, I don't know what you want us to do. Meanwhile, Congress gets a pass because they can't do anything ever. People who are breaking the rules get a pass because they can't be held accountable right now because no law can be passed. The NCAA continues to get hit, and that just creates it like snowballs into the thing you're looking for the fix, or the thing that you think is the issue is the only body really right now that could do any fixing, but they can't because there's a court that strikes down every rule they attempt to make. They try to do a settlement right now. They're trying to go through the House settlement. They're trying to go through, and I'm just looking at different cases I have. There's a lawsuit brought by West Virginia, the two West Virginia multi-time transfers, Daquan Battle and Noah Farrakhan, and they wanted to transfer again. This is in 2023, and they argued that it was whenever they weren't allowing multiple transfers, and they were saying like we should be able to transfer as many times as we want, basically, and if you don't let us, and I'm telling you right now, the transfer portal eventually will be held as a violation of a player's NIL ability. Any restriction on when they want to, if something doesn't change, because there's no actual logical reason.
Are you saying there's not going to be an open and closed period?
No, I think you just whenever you want to, because here's the thing, they allow you to transfer because if you don't allow a transfer, and this is what this case, this transfer rule case talked about. The U.S. Department of Justice just joined it in 2024. I don't know when the Trump administration came, if they withdrew their involvement or not. I need to check. But there was a rare like they used to have a temporary suspension of like the multi-transfer penalty, or they allowed one because of this. And so now, like, if kids can transfer whenever they want, what's the logic behind saying, well, they can do that, but only in this little small window? Well, sorry, what if a team had an opening that was 3 weeks after that window? Who are you to say the kid shouldn't be able to earn NIL money? Why are you restricting his ability to get NIL dollars by saying he can only transfer in a certain window?
Not to mention, they're going to argue mental health. If for some reason maybe the school offers the major they want, who are you to, restrict that? There's other things that they can play by, besides even just NIL you can go into.
And also what bothers me is when people don't realize NIL is not national, it's state regulated. Every single state has their own NIL rules. Every single state's going to enact rules differently. We just saw Governor Stitt in Oklahoma pass an executive order that allows university funds to be allocated to wherever they want, but it was really a move so that Oklahoma and Oklahoma State and Tulsa can use donations to the university that can be funneled to athletics, because typically you'd have to donate to the athletic portion of whatever funding mechanism you have at the university in order for that money to be used for athletics. Well, if you're a school like Oklahoma, there's a lot of people where our wealthiest donors they prefer our athletics to be good, but they love the university. So they donate a lot of money just to the University of Oklahoma, and that money was kind of locked away from the athletic department. Well, Stitt passed the rule that now, or the executive order that, they're allowing that money to be transferred wherever they want. So people will donate, put it at athletic director's discretion, or if they want, or whatever it is. There you go. And this goes back to a lot of people's, and you mentioned it too a second ago, opinions on we should do this, that, and the other in terms of how we structure our NIL contracts. And it's easy, but also you're hurting yourself if you make them too restrictive. I get that I would love for a a contract come out that says, hey, if you hit this amount, you're going to get this much. You get that amount, you're going to get that much because
every year you stay, you get.
But like a committal. But yeah, exactly. Yeah. But the problem is you do that, the school you're competing with is going to say, hey, you come here, we'll give you all your check first day you arrive on campus. We don't care. We just want you here. We want you to play for us. Where do you think the kid's going to go? And people will say, well, there needs to be regulation. Yeah, there does. But that doesn't do anything for the fact that there isn't currently any.
Right.
And I just don't think that there are enough people that understand there are the differences in how each state regulates their NIL really makes an impact on how the recruiting goes. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's like there's this belief that for some reason there are like this group of people that have the solution or an ability to fix everything, and they're just not doing it at the NCAA, I guess, or there's just this yearning. There's just nobody there that wants to not have like these headaches hanging over them all the time. The NCAA would love to be able to pass whatever rule they want and it would be honored, I'm sure. They just can't do it anymore. And I don't know. Until we realize that and there's actual fixes, we're going to be stuck.
And like my fear, because you talk about, with the sharing of the university money, my fear is universities are going to become bankrupt.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to keep doors open, or they're not going to be able to keep the science department going, or whatever it is. And that's going to become so bad that then, government has to step in. Like my fear is that something that drastic is going to happen in order for there to actually be regulations. Or should every should every SEC team and every Big Ten school come together and say, hey, we're forming this alliance, if you will.
Yep.
And we're setting basically they're going to set a constitution and that they have to follow these rules. That to me, those are the only two answers that are going to happen. Something drastic, like schools starting to become bankrupt, starting to lose what school was meant for the government to step in, or all the Big Ten and the SEC can form an alliance. No offense, but if they would follow suit, to me.
Well, and you're 100% right. And that the Tennessee case I was talking about, because we had a comment that talked about there shouldn't be any tampering or. And a big thing has been in the recruiting, right? It's to say we can offer you this kind of NIL if you come to this university. And a lot of us are saying, well, that shouldn't be part of it. It should be, there's money guaranteed, and then maybe they make a little bit. But so they literally tried. There was a lawsuit that brought by the Attorney General of Tennessee and Virginia, in which they were challenging NCAA rules on boosters and NIL collective communication with recruits. Well, they wanted to say, like the NCAA put out a rule that said, hey, if you're a collective X, Y, or Z, you can't talk to them at certain times. We're not going to let you negotiate or go when they're on the recruiting trips. You can't go up to them and say, we'll give you X, Y, and Z amount of dollars to come to this university. To me, totally reasonable thing to do if you're wanting to have regulation, which is what everyone says they want from the NCAA. That was prohibited, and it was basically there was an injunction filed because there was so in February 24, the federal judge granted a preliminary injunction prohibiting the NCAA from enforcing those restrictions, citing irreparable harm, which is just an element they have to cite that, to athletes' earning potential. Now, how vague of a standard could you have, or word or phrase, as earning potential? Earning potential is almost like undefinable. It's also unquantifiable because everyone has the potential to win the lottery. I mean, it's not very high potential, but you could. So I just, like these are the things I'm talking about. They are trying to fix certain things. They just can't get them through because they're always struck down by courts because no court wants to sit there and tell a kid no about them getting money. And until Congress steps up or until there's some reason.
Didn't you say that there was like the Big Ten commissioner, the SEC commissioner, and the Big 12 commissioner were lobbying for like Congress or whomever to try to step in? Yeah.
Well, they were on the Hill last week trying to say, hey, you guys have to help us here. Like, there's no way you can either give us either give us the antitrust exemption, or give us a or give us some rules that we can all work by. Because right now it's just there's nothing. Right. I mean, and people said stuff when Nick Saban retired. This is exactly why he retired. It's impossible to be a coach right now. As much as I want BV to be good,
and it's not why you went into the profession.
It's not.
And that's, to me, disheartening. If like, to me, that would be the most disheartening part. It's like, I went in here to change lives. I went here to develop boys into men. Obviously you come in to compete and win because you love the game too, but that's not why you go into working with other people.
Right.
Like, you want to help their lives, and now it's all about the money. Like, that's just disheartening. If you wanted to be all about the money, you would have been like an accountant or something.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. My biggest fear personally is literally schools will start becoming like bankrupt. Schools will start shutting doors to majors for the sake of paying these athletes money and for whatever reason. And that is my, and maybe I'm what's that called?
Catastrophizing.
I'm struggling today. Maybe that's what I'm doing in my head right now.
You good?
But like that's just right now the trajectory that I see it happening. Like this is not sustainable. We can all agree. This is not sustainable. And if you start taking funds out of universities to pay athletes, you're taking it out of the university. What it's there for, to keep the lights on, to pay the teachers, to have all the equipment in the science lab, to have all the equipment in the cadaver lab, like for whatever it is, to have trash cans on campus. And those things to me are going to have to take a plummet where now it's affecting other students' potential earning.
Yeah.
Where the government steps in.
And remember, the original reason why they had the whole NCAA in the first place, or the reason why the NCAA was able to make rules, is they said, look, we are different because we offer the amateurism aspect of college football, college athletics is just different. That's part of what makes it marketable to a lot of people. It's not about just money. And they were just so gung-ho on overturning a lot of these overturning a lot of these rules that just kids couldn't get, and they didn't help themselves, like the Cam Newton the Jameis Winston crabs, when he took the crabs, or whatever, or wasn't it like, didn't Gabe Eichner and them get in trouble at a bowl? He got like more chicken than they should have at a buffet.
That was
for a bowl game or something. Because
Trevor Knight had mentioned they had like a spaghetti dinner.
Yeah,
and they got like a second bowl of spaghetti,
and it was a violation. Like that stuff is that's where you just make people hate you, because that's stupid. That's idiotic.
Dumb.
It's idiotic that Harbaugh had the hamburger thing. It's idiotic that if I'm a big time donor and I see, I see John Mateer out there at a restaurant with his teammates, and here's the thing, I want them to know who I am, and I want them to see me and give me a high five next time they see me, and I'm like, hey, I want to buy their meal, I want to do this, and then everybody's like, no, you can't do that. Listen, I'm sorry, it's just reality of it. Right. Athletes are treated differently on campus. They are looked at differently. They get to cut all the lines
also
at clubs. They get everything else given to them. It's just the reality of it.
Yeah, and that was stupid too, because if I saw like a group of just students and I was like, you know what, I love the fact that they're having a good time with their friends, I'm going to buy that meal, that's perfectly acceptable.
Right. Yeah.
So you just couldn't do it, you couldn't just say, oh, I didn't know they're athletes, I just saw a bunch of kids from OU having a good time and I just remembered my days and I wanted to just help them have a good night. You know what I mean? Like, so that there were definitely rules that were stupid, but let's go ahead and go to Ryan's comment.
Yep.
Chad and T, what do you think of conference commissioners need to come together across the board and create rules and regulations? That's what I mentioned as a possible scenario, is these commissioners, and I guess they can talk to the presidents of the universities and the ADs and basically create their own constitution, is what I called it, Declaration of Independence, whatever it is that they need to come up, like, these are our rules, this is what we're doing. If you're in this coalition, we will compete together. And if you're not in this coalition, we're not going to compete. I think any small schools would fall in line because
well, you have to.
You would have to. I mean, no offense if you're part of the Pac-2, but if you're saying you can't go play, you can't go play Oregon, you can't go play Alabama, you can't play these teams. Who's going to come watch you?
Right. Yeah.
And who's going to play you?
Right.
I mean, there's nobody left. So that is my not catastrophic.
Hey, I'm proud of you right there. You said
Thank you. Not catastrophic.
What's funny is she's like arguably the smartest person I know, and hearing her struggle like this is also rare and fun, and it's a sickening way to me.
You're giving me a little more credit than you've met a lot of very, very insanely intelligent people.
Yeah, there are. You got game though.
Thank you.
You're in the conversation.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm in the conversation. But that to me, that was the most logical that could be done relatively quickly, I would think. Solution. That's the word I was actually looking for. Solution, because I don't think the government's stepping in. They got enough going on.
More, don't they?
And the courts are obviously siding with the craziness of it all. And I think the only way the government's stepping in is, like I said, if schools start losing the ability to be a school or keep the doors open.
Yeah.
That's when I think the government step in. I think the easiest solution would be for the commissioners, for all the ADs to literally come together, then go to Philadelphia sign it there and make your own rules and regulations. I think that would be potentially the other. That to me, that's the only.
There are
thing you could do.
There are just practical complications with that whenever you talk about TV deals, because conferences have signed to like 2035 TV deals with CBS or TV deals with ESPN, so those would have to be worked out. But I mean, obviously, like people, especially if you can get like the top 4 conferences that make their own.
Put it in your constitution that play set schedules till TV things are set out.
Yeah, people a lot smarter than I am would figure that out. Trust.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like the things that we don't think about are. That's what I always enjoy, is like the things that you don't even realize. Oh, I didn't. It makes sense now that you mention it, but it was a.
Did y'all hear that truck?
I don't know. Apparently,
crazy.
Like a Harley Davidson the size of a tank just started outside of our door.
Or it was a tank.
Oh, could have been. But yeah, so that's. But I don't dislike that at all. That idea either.
Lane also said, other sports will suffer that don't generate much money. Exactly. There's already programs being cut at other universities, and more so the smaller universities. I believe Patty Gasso had mentioned the team that they played maybe in the not super regionals, and like one of the regionals last year, or played at some point, is losing their program. This is their last year of it, and they're never going to have a program again for softball.
That's great.
And like, here's the thing.
That hurt, man. It sucks.
At Oklahoma, I don't believe softball makes revenue. That's a non-revenue building or earning sport, and we all love it.
Well, and it's rare that any sport does. We've talked about that before too.
Right.
Yeah,
It's men's basketball.
Football does.
And football, obviously.
Softball, I think, did last year, but
but again,
what
rare.
did it take for them to make revenue?
Exactly.
Their fourth national championship, in a row.
And I mean, women's basketball, maybe if you're like UConn.
Now they might make revenue next year with that girl coming in. You have Reagan Beers back.
But I'm saying in general, for most schools,
right.
like women's sports, and as a female athlete, like I hate saying this, they're not revenue generating. That's not to say people don't watch it. That's not to say people don't enjoy it. But the money you need to bring in, but with all the behind the scenes cost, it's not enough.
Right. So I don't want to. That's just kind of my little soapbox there. Just had to get it off my chest. There was also, just real quick on this one, because we've all talked about how we hate kids transferring 10 times. Well, guess what the NCAA tried to do? Probably didn't know this. They tried to put a rule in that said, hey, if you transfer more than twice, you have to wait a whole calendar year before you can be eligible to play again. Rational? I love that rule. It makes total sense. You get 2 transfers on the 3rd team you're at, you got to wait a year, right? Well, that was struck down by a court that in 2023 said that it was uncompetitive for them to not allow immediate transferring because it hurts their NIL earning capacity and draft stock.
So that's what bothers me, because I literally had to sit out a whole year in high school, despite the fact I followed all their rules. And hey, Jonathan
with an all-timer.
Stop it.
Jonathan says, I was ready to cut programs to keep David Stone.
Oh my gosh.
That's fantastic.
Go away. Not
That's
really,
awesome.
But
Jonathan,
stop.
I like that.
But like, I mean, I had to sit out a year in high school, despite the fact I followed all the rules and had legit reasons for leaving.
And you like literally were leaving to, anyways. Yeah,
we're not gonna bring it up. And so
and now kids just out there just transferring. Like, what was that? I saw there's a kid from Kansas State or Kansas University that was it's going to be his 3rd team in a year. I think
that's crazy.
I think 3rd team in 2 years.
My thing is, I feel like you're gonna look back on these days and be like, I didn't build.
No.
What you build in college, that brotherhood or sisterhood, that you didn't build the friendships, you didn't build the relationships, you didn't do the networking. You were out there chasing a bag, and some of these kids aren't even getting that. They're spending it all, wanting more. Spending it all, wanting more, not getting it at the next school, not getting playing time, versus like you could have stayed at a place, earned your way, and played 2 years, played 1 year, whatever it is, and built those relationships, built the networking, built yourself up. But alas,
it is time for a little doggo.
Wait.
What?
Before that.
What?
We want to give a big shout out to OU Women's Gymnastics for winning the national championship.
They won their 7th.
Woo!
I'll just say this: they didn't win it last year. They invited us to a practice, and they win another natty. So KJ, in our little small way we helped, we say you're welcome.
We really,
it was awesome. Yeah.
We really did want to be there. We had planned on it basically all season. We're like, if they make it to nationals, we're gonna go. Fell on Easter weekend, and then we had some other stuff come up, so we weren't really able to travel at all. But we did watch, and we were cheering loudly. We were petty We broke gym etiquette.
Why wouldn't? I'm sorry. There's oh gosh, who's the? There's another team that we usually face that usually I don't know if they weren't there. They're from the Louisiana. Their state it's Louisiana State University LSU.
Yeah, they didn't make it.
What happened?
They got beat
Libby
up.
Dunn. Libby done with her college career. That's what.
That wasn't
See,
nice.
that was kind of not nice.
She actually was
nice.
injured.
Oh, well, see, now I feel... Why didn't you tell me that before I make a
have
joke?
told you that a million times.
Read my mind.
But she really...
All right, well, I hope she's okay.
No, I'm not going to go
I
there.
hate that.
Anyways, but no, LSU did not make it, which was actually a shocker coming out of the regionals. Not as much as a shocker as ours last year because we just fell apart last year. I mean, we literally fell like 6 times. So we took ourselves out of it. They didn't have any falls. Utah and UCLA just outcompeted them, man. Utah was lights out on the bars, and UCLA did what they needed to do too. So that was kind of, I mean, all of us were shocked. I know when I posted the Final Four, most people were like, wait, I think we're missing someone. I'm like, nope. And Florida didn't make it either. That was a number 3 team. So the 1 and 3 seed did not make it. But that's just the nature to me of the beast of gymnastics, because you literally have an off day and you fall off. You can fall off once and almost take yourself out of it. You fall off twice and it's like, well, they just had to score a 9-5. Like, they're out of it immediately. Like, that's just kind of what can happen. But man, the women, so proud of them. It was super close. It was, I mean, going into the last rotation, I mean, we were neck and neck with UCLA, and we're finishing up on bars, which I think we're number 1 in the nation on, like, one of our best events. They're finishing up on beam, which they're one of their best events. And I was really kind of surprised with our bar scores. I thought they were low, but that's not the point. What helped even more was the fact that UCLA did not do well on beam at all. And we were petty. Sorry. We may or may not have cheered on the bobbles and the steps.
Had to have it.
Had we been there, we would have been a little more classy. But we were in the comfort of our own home. Nobody could hear us. But man, Audrey Davis sealed the deal. She is our bars. She is the bars. She's one of the bars queens. She's our bars queen. She's phenomenal on bars. She needed a 9-9 to seal the deal with us. Got it, like a 9-9? 2-5.
Should have been
Good
higher.
job.
They were a little bit.
I agree, but neither here nor there. Yeah. So really, Jordan Bowers just had to finish her routine, and man, I was so proud of them, because all they had to hear for a year was how they just fell apart, how they had 3 falls on the vault, then they had 2 falls on the beam. Like, all they had to hear was that over and over and over again. Yeah. How it was such a shock they weren't there. They were the greatest team in gymnastics that didn't win. And man, that dragon has been slayed, I think is what KJ said.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for them. And the best part is we had a ton of freshmen.
Yeah, dude,
competing.
Young.
Y'all keep the gym turnet. Keep hating, because just a bunch of freshmen ready to roll your teams too, year in and year out.
It's got the neck working.
I am, because man, it's always, they're overscored, and you say like, how? And also, like, our bars were underscored, and the reason we really were able to win is because the other team did mess up uncharacteristically on the beam too. Like, it added out in the end. There were some other fans of the university that didn't make it that were like, well, you wouldn't have won if we were there. And I'm like, yeah, could say the same thing about your one natty.
Dude.
You can say the same thing about your one natty.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have got it if we literally didn't choke.
Yeah. Well,
if we literally didn't have an uncharacteristic deal. But it was just, to me, it's so weird, because, like, I always thought it was weird when people were like, well, we beat you in the regular season. I'm like, yeah, but we got a natty. Are you saying beating someone in the regular season? You'd rather beat someone in a regular season than have that trophy at the end?
You beat us in our preparation for what we achieved eventually.
Yes. Like
it's preparatory rounds.
Cool. Hang the banner.
Awesome. Yeah.
Like, I would much rather have our 7th natty. But,
different levels of
they
team,
not like us.
No, they're not.
But anyway, super proud of the OU women's gym. Unfortunately, the men fell a little short, but
I still don't know how the men scored.
We need to go to one of their practices.
I see Michigan falling like dominoes on the pommel horse, and we have one, and all of a sudden they like,
and we're somehow
down
by like 3 points after they fell like 3 times. That was weird.
I don't know, but also I literally have no idea.
Look, we can only handle one gymnastics scoring a year to get better. Yeah,
next year we try to do the men's. That's right.
Yeah, but man, so proud of them. It was just a lot of fun. But now the real star of the show. Zeno.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right. We will go here. Make sure we share sound. T put in some effort to make this, so hope y'all enjoy
Zeno
it.
made it.
Zeno put some, yeah, that's right.
Stacy, let us know if you can hear it. Okay,
Yeah.
girl.
Here we go. They able to see us? I don't know if they're able to see us or not. Something just like kicked us out. So let me try to do this again. Hold on.
Hey.
If y'all can still see us, that's hilarious.
It stopped. We don't know, dude. That was weird. Heard, but then it all disappeared.
Let's see if
Literally,
it
I
works
just
here.
asked Chad to move that banner off so you could And so when he took the banner off, literally everything just collapsed. So
Hopefully they can see this.
let's try it again.
I think they can.
You can see us now?
Okay.
Okay,
Good.
great.
All right. I don't know what happened. Sorry. I guess it was on me. I had to press the banner, but
that
my
was
bad.
just a weird glitch. Trying again. Let us know if you can hear it.
Unbelievable. That was awesome. That was well done.
Thank you.
I mean, she makes those on her phone too. Like, that's impressive. That's
Yeah,
well done.
no, I mean, I don't even try to be a pro, but they were just funny.
Yeah.
I
Well,
hope you guys liked them.
yeah, I enjoyed them. Typically don't even see them till we do these, and that was entertaining. Well done.
Yeah, I always ask him, like, hey, can you, like, check over this just to see how he's like, no, I don't watch it during the show. I'm like,
I like the genuine
Okay.
reaction with fans. Well, we appreciate y'all joining us tonight. Went a little long, over an hour, but you know it is what it is. We happy that T is back, the team is back, and yeah, we'll be back on Monday at 7 again. And you know, I'm sure there'll be some news break before then, like there always is.
Yeah.
Getting closer to the season, we will. The closer we get, we're going to start doing our predictions on certain games, our predictions for other teams and what they have coming
yeah,
back.
try to have some friends
But, yeah.
come in who don't agree with us.
Yeah.
We might cheer for other teams just to get their thoughts on their team for the year and what we can look forward to on that game day. So that should be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So hopefully we can provide some more just content for y'all. Again, we appreciate y'all's patience when we had to miss last week or a couple weeks ago, and then just kind of getting back in the flow of things. But we really appreciate that. Hope everyone had a really great Easter. And we
Please like, subscribe to our
comment. I don't know
channel.
my
Leave a
bad.
comment in the comments. I know we
Yes.
have a live chat going on, but as soon as we get off, if you could just throw a little comment on there, that would be fantastic for
Comedy
us.
comment.
Go ahead and follow us on socials as well. They are at the bottom. Go ahead and follow the Voice of College Football as well on socials. They'll be giving lots of just general college information, highlights, any kind of transfer portal like updates if they're really big news. So they're fun to follow as well if you just are just a general lover of college football.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, guys, we hope you have a good rest of your week.
Mm-hmm.
We hope, I know there's going to be rains. Hope you stay safe if there's any storms. And we hope to see you again on Monday.
Yep. God bless. We'll see y'all next week.
Bye.